Good morning. This is Muhammad Suleiman, Assistant Professor of Commerce working at MES Government Degree College Autonomous, Mahbub Nagar. Today, let us learn about classification of contracts. As all of us know that a contract is legally enforceable only when it fulfills all the requirements of essential elements that a valid contract should have. And we have learned that a contract is nothing but agreement plus enforceability at law. Agreement we discussed in the earlier classes. It is nothing but offer plus acceptance. If somebody gives offer and it is accepted by some other person, then it becomes agreement. When agreement is legally enforceable, then it becomes a contract. This is what we have learned in the basics of Contract Act. Now let us move further and learn the classification of contract. Hence, the objectives of this lesson are: first of all, we'll be discussing about some introduction regarding to classification of contracts, and then we will see how contracts are classified, the basis on which the contracts are classified or divided. Then we will see contracts classified based on enforceability, contracts classified based on formation, and contracts based on performance. Moving further, let us remember once again that a valid contract shall contain all the essential elements that must be present according to section 10. Section 10 says that a valid contract shall have 10 essential elements starting from offer, acceptance, intention to create legal relationship, lawful consideration, free consent, lawful object, certainty of meaning, possibility of performance, not declared to be void, and legal formalities. When a contract fulfills all these 10 conditions, then the contract is called a valid contract. But apart from this, there may be some contracts which are either valid or which are not valid or which are invalid. So let us have a discussion on different types of contracts or classification of contracts. If we see, contracts are classified according to various grounds, but let us see one common ground on which the contracts have been classified. So it is important to understand that classification of contracts shall be on one important basis that is easily understandable to all of us. Hence, I have selected the classification of contract on the basis of enforceability, on the basis of formation, and on the basis of performance. Apart from this, also we may find some other classification of contracts. So it is open. Some other author may classify the contracts according to some other ground, but this is the most important classification of contracts, which is classified on the basis of validity or enforceability, first ground, and second one, formation of contract, and third one, performance of the contract. Now let us see one by one how the contracts are classified according to one important ground. If we see the classification of contract based on the enforceability or validity, so validity means the contract which is valid or the contract which is uh, as per the law, or the contract which follows the all provisions of the law into force. Hence, the contracts are classified on the basis of validity or enforceability as a first basis. So, according to which the contracts are different types are valid contracts, void contracts, void agreements, voidable contracts, unenforceable contracts, and illegal agreements. This classification is very important, which stresses or which focuses mainly on the validity or enforceability of the contract. So first let us see what is a valid contract. A valid contract is a contract which fulfills all the essential requirements which are laid down in section 10 of the Contract Act. It means it has all the 10 essential elements starting from offer and acceptance and ending till legal formalities. Hence, this contract is called a valid contract. Take for example, I want to sell my house for rupees 10 lakhs and I will give this offer to a person called Mr. X. If Mr. X is ready to buy my house for rupees 10 lakhs, which is the agreed price, he accepts my offer. So now see, I have given offer, he has accepted the offer. The exchange of house is happening for a consideration of rupees 10 lakhs. Now all the essential conditions of the contract are fulfilled: offer, acceptance, intention to create legal relationship, lawful consideration, lawful object, legal formalities, and free consent. Everything, all the provisions of section 10 are fulfilled. Hence, this contract becomes a valid contract. If it is deviating into some element, if some of the or one of the essential elements in this contract is missing, then it will become an invalid contract. Hence, it can be understood that all the contracts which do not comply with the provisions of section 10 of Indian Contract Act, then those contracts are invalid contracts. And all those contracts which comply with the provisions or which follow the provisions of section 10 of Indian Contract Act are called valid contract. So it is important to note here that a contract to enter into some other contract is not a valid contract, because some other contract should emerge or should rise from offer and acceptance and other formalities, but not from another contract. Hence, a contract to enter into another contract is not a valid contract. But a contract is a valid contract when it fulfills all the essential elements as laid down in section 10 of the Indian Contract Act. Therefore, a valid contract may be understood as a contract which is enforceable at law, which stands the scrutiny of law, or which is acceptable in the provisions of law, or which is permitted in the sphere of law. Hence, the valid contract is a contract which is acceptable by the law also. Hence, the contract which is fulfilling all the essential conditions as per the section 10 is called a valid contract. So apart from valid contract, those contracts which do not follow something or which do not follow many things that are present in a valid contract are called invalid contracts. And invalid contracts are different types. First of all, let us see void contract. A void contract is nothing but it is an agreement which was legally enforceable when entered into, but has become void due to some development in future. Due to some development in future, so it is clear to note that a void contract is nothing but it was a contract which was enforceable at the time when it was signed or when it was entered, but because of some development in the future, the possibility of performance of the contract has become difficult or has become impossible. Then that contract will become a void contract. So it is important to note that this is not an agreement, but this is a contract. It was good at the time of entering into it, or it was good at the time of signing it, but it has become impossible or difficult to perform or to complete because of some development in future. Hence, it is a contract which is void in nature. Take for example, two persons of different countries have entered into a contract for supply of one particular good. The contract is signed to be completed within 3 months, that is say 90 days. Let us assume all of a sudden after 1 month, if there is a war between these two countries, or if the relations of these two countries are not good, then it is difficult for them, for one of them or both of them, to complete their promise, to complete their contract, because of the new development, that is war between these two countries. Hence this contract will become a void contract. But it is important to note that a void contract is not necessarily unlawful. It has become difficult or impossible due to some development in future, but it is not a unlawful contract. And it is difficult to complete because the law will not enforce such a contract, nor it can be made valid by the parties because of the new developed conditions. Because of the new developments or latest developments, the completion of the contract will become difficult. This is void contract. Then one more thing is there, that is called void agreement. Void agreement is nothing but an agreement which is not enforceable by law, either by either of the parties, is void. No legal rights or obligations can arise out of the void agreement because it is void ab initio. The day it was entered into, the day it was signed into, it itself is void ab initio. From its very inception, from its very beginning, or from its very starting point, the agreement is void. For example, an agreement without consideration is void because no consideration, no contract. Or an agreement with a minor is void because any contract with the minor is void. Minor cannot enter into a contract. Hence, these type of agreements, when they are entered into, the time, the very inception itself, the agreement is void. It cannot be enforced by any law enforcing agency. Therefore, it is important to note that all agreements which are not recognized or which do not follow in the, which do not follow the purview of law are called void agreements, and void agreement can never become a contract. Then next we have voidable contract. Voidable contract is nothing but when the agreement is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties, but not at the option of the other party, is called voidable contract. It means any party to the contract or any person to the contract can make it happen or can stop it from happening because of some reason. This could be because of the result of absence of free consent in the contract, or it may be just an agreement which is derived from the coercion, undue influence, fraud, or misrepresentation. The other party who induced the consent or who mooted the contract to happen cannot take the advantage of his own fraud because the consent is not free or the consent is obtained out of any other means which is not a free consent. In such a case, section 2 of 1 of Indian Contract Act says that an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more of the parties but not at the option of the other is called a voidable contract. It means that contract can be made void by the option of the other party. The main reason here is the consent is not obtained free. Thus, a voidable contract is valid and enforceable until it is repudiated by the party entitled to avoid it. Otherwise, the contract will become a valid contract. And the party entitled to repudiate the contract is not bound to repudiate it but may affirm it. In that case, the other party remains bound to carry it as agreed upon. So, the option of the person is crucial here. If the person says yes, then the contract may move further. If the person says no, then the contract may not move further. Hence, it is important to note that a voidable contract can happen only at the option of the party but not at the will of the other party. And the defect in a voidable contract is not curable, and if condoned, it becomes a valid contract. The defect which is there because of any reason like lack of free consent or fraud or misrepresentation or undue influence is not curable, but it may be condoned. It may be condoned at the will of the party. If it is condoned, it becomes a valid contract. Then when it becomes a valid contract, then it has to be fulfilled, it has to be completed. Otherwise, the other party who is suffering a loss may approach the court of law. Then we have one more contract called unenforceable contract. Unenforceable contract is a contract which cannot be enforced because of some technical defect. Technical defect like absence of written form, missing of signatures, or non-payment of proper stamp duty, etc. In such a case, such contracts may be challenged in the court of law but cannot be enforced until and unless the defect is rectified. For example, if proper stamp duty is not paid between the parties or any of the parties, then the contract can become valid or the contract can become enforceable only when the stamp duty is paid. If the stamp duty is not paid, then the contract may become unenforceable contract. Unenforceable contract is a weak contract. For example, a person borrows rupees 10,000 from another person called Y. Or take for example, X borrows rupees 10,000 from Y and makes a promissory note, and a 1 rupee stamp is pasted on the promissory note. The agreement between them is okay according to their minds, or their understanding is okay according to the promissory note that they have written between them and they have signed. But the agreement, though complete, is not enforceable because of the technical defect. Technical defect because the promissory note is bearing a stamp of just 1 rupee, which is not as per the provisions of the law. If the provisions say that the promissory note should bear a stamp of rupees 5, then rupees 5 stamp should be pasted on the promissory note to make it enforceable. If the 1 rupee stamp is pasted on it and signed it, for them the signing of the contract is good, but as per the legal provisions, the promissory note is understamped. When it is understamped, then the contract is not enforceable in the court of law. Hence, the small technical defects or small missings or mistakes in the contract will make the contract as unenforceable contract. Then we come to illegal agreements. Illegal agreements are not contracts. An illegal agreement is void ab initio. It is important to remember that an illegal agreement is void ab initio because it is against the public policy or it is against any law of the land. Hence, it is called as illegal agreement. For example, an agreement to make bank robbery between two persons or an agreement to commit dacoity is an illegal agreement and cannot be enforced at a law. Suppose a person may file a suit against that this fellow has agreed for bank robbery and not cooperating right now. This statement or this agreement cannot be enforced in the court of law because it is against public policy. Doing robbery or robbing a bank is against the public policy. Hence, all illegal agreements are void. But it is important to note that all void agreements may not be illegal. For example, an agreement with a minor is void but not illegal. The provisions say that an agreement with a minor is void. It is understood, but it is not illegal. Therefore, every void agreement is not illegal unless its object or consideration is against the public policy or it is immoral. So, it is important to note that all agreements which are against the public policy are illegal. Having learned all these things, it is important to uh, know the difference between these contracts and agreements. First of all, let us discuss about the difference between void contract and void agreement. We discussed earlier that a void contract is nothing but a contract which was good or enforceable at the time of entering into it, but has become void due to some supervening impossibility of performance or some latest development in future. The completion of contract could not be done. That type of contract is called void contract. But when we talk about void agreement is an agreement which is not enforceable at law, and no legal rights or obligations will arise out of the void agreement. Therefore, a void contract should be distinguished from void agreement. An agreement not enforceable at law is void agreement. That is clear. But in case of void contract, it was good at the time of entering into, but not enforceable right now because of some supervening impossibility. On the other hand, an agreement with a minor is void, but in case of void contract, a contract does come into existence but subsequently ceases to be enforceable by law because of some new development, because of some latest development. And it is important to note that an agreement which is void never becomes into a contract, or an agreement which is void and never makes into a contract. And an agreement which becomes illegal in the course of performance is a case of void contract, while an agreement which is null and void ab initio is a case of void agreement. So here we need to follow two important things. Void contract was enforceable at the time of making the contract, but void agreement is not at all enforceable at the time of making of the agreement itself. So this is the basic or main difference between these two, between void contract and void agreement. Now let us move on to second point, that is voidable contract and void agreement. There is a distinction between these two also. Voidable contract is different, void agreement is different. Now let us see some differences between these two. A void agreement, as discussed earlier also, from the beginning itself, it has no legal effects or it is not at all enforceable. It is void ab initio. It is not at all enforceable at law. But a voidable contract can be enforceable or can become enforceable at the option of one of the parties. If that party rejects, then that contract will become voidable contract. But if that party says yes, if the party says gives consent to the performance of the contract, then a voidable contract can become enforceable contract. Hence, a voidable contract is a valid contract and enforceable till it is repudiated or rescinded at the option of the party. This is main difference between a voidable contract and void agreement. And void agreement, on the other hand, it's void ab initio and has got no legal effects. Now let us see one more difference between voidable contract and a void agreement. A voidable contract is curable and may be condoned at the option of one of the parties. But a void agreement is void ab initio and its defects are incurable. Incurable means it cannot be approved, it cannot be reframed, or it cannot be given consent, or it cannot become a contract. Hence, the voidable contract is curable in nature at the option of one party, or it may be condoned at the option of one party, whereas the void agreement is void ab initio and can never be curable or it is incurable. Then let us take one more difference between the voidable contract and void agreement. A void agreement, in case of void agreement, even a third party cannot acquire any right from the contract apart from these two people who have entered into the agreement. Let us say A and B have entered into a void agreement. B cannot transfer his right to C to get some claim on the basis of the agreement because the agreement is void ab initio and third party cannot acquire a right from it. But in case of a voidable contract, a third party can acquire a valid title from a person claiming under it when it is curable or when it is approved. When voidable contract is made good, when voidable contract is cleared, when voidable contract is approved, it becomes a enforceable contract and the party who has a right on it can transfer his right to some other third party who can claim the right, which is possible only when it is curable and approved and the contract is a voidable contract. But in case of a void agreement, it is not possible, not at all possible, because third party cannot claim a right from an agreement which is void ab initio and which cannot be enforced in the court of law. This is one more difference. Let us move on to one more difference that exists between the voidable contract and void agreement. Since a void agreement is not enforceable at law and it does not gives a room for any question of compensation on account of non-performance of the agreement. But in case of voidable contract, a person can claim for compensation of non-performance or he can claim for damages suffered due to non-performance of the contract. If a person uh, who is a party got right to make a voidable contract a good contract has suffered damages due to non-performance of the other party, then he can claim compensation or he can claim damages from the other party for non-performance because his right is disturbed, his right is damaged. But in case of void agreement being void ab initio does not give any right or does not give rise to any compensation on account of non-performance. But on account of non-performance, compensation is eligible in case of voidable contract by option of the party. So these are some differences between voidable contract and void agreement. Then we move on to one more point of difference, that is illegal and void agreements. As discussed earlier, illegal agreements are void ab initio because the agreements are against the public policy or the agreement nature itself is illegal. As discussed earlier, the example to commit a dacoity. To commit a dacoity is illegal. Hence, the agreement itself is illegal and called illegal agreement. And void agreement is also an agreement which is void ab initio and cannot be enforced in the court of law. But let us see one or two differences between these two. Void agreements are broader in scope, and such agreements may be void for a reason other than illegality. So, illegality or illegal nature may not be a necessary reason for void agreements, but all illegal agreements are void. So, in other words, an illegal agreement is one step ahead than void agreement and contains the quality of illegality. For example, an agreement with minor is void but not illegal. But an illegal agreement is void as well as illegal. So illegality may not be present in void agreements, but illegality is present in illegal agreements. This is one difference. And one more difference is parties to the void agreement may not be punishable at all times in the eyes of law, but the parties involved in illegal agreements are punishable and liable for punishment in the eyes of law because the very purpose of the contract is illegal. The very purpose of the contract is against some law which is enforceable. Hence, the activity is treated as illegal, and the persons involved in those activities or in that activity are punishable as per the provisions of law. But in case of agreement, void agreement is an agreement which is not enforceable, and if it is not illegal, then the persons involved in that agreement may not be punishable. Then one more difference we can see between the illegal agreements and void agreements. The transactions collateral to void agreements are enforceable by law. However, the transactions collateral to illegal agreements are not possible because of the illegality. So, any transaction that is collateral to void agreement are enforceable. But in case of a illegal agreement, the transactions are not recognized by the law. This was a classification of law, classification of contracts according to the enforceability or validity. Now let us see the classification of contracts based on formation. So when we talk about formation, it means the way or the mode in which the contract was entered into, or the contract was signed, or the method in which the contract was prepared. So if we see the classification of contracts based on formation is of four types. I repeat it once again. This is the classification which I have done, but you may see some other classification by some other author which may be more or less than this. So now let us see the different types of classification of contracts based on formation. First is express contract, second one is implied contract, and third one is quasi contract, and fourth one is e-commerce contracts or contracts over internet. Now let us learn one by one. First of all, let us see what is an express contract. An express contract is a contract which is entered into by words which may be either spoken or written. Sometimes there may be a contract which is spoken also, which is enforceable. Or sometimes there may be a contract which is written also, which is also equally enforceable. When a proposal and acceptance is made in words, it is an express contract. If I say my offer in my own words and the person accepting it replies in the same manner, then it becomes an express contract. Or if I give my offer in writing and the person who is accepting that offer replies or gives his acceptance in writing, then it becomes an express contract. Now let us see what is implied contract. Implied contract is a contract where the offer or acceptance is made other than in words. Hence it is called as an implied contract. Implied contracts can develop according to the surrounding circumstances and conduct of the parties who have made them. So when a person implies some another person to do some work, the law implies that he has to pay for it. Or the law says that when a person employs some other person, it is implied that he has agreed to pay for his work. For example, if I employ one person to clean my garden or uh, to cut the grass in my garden, so it implies that I am ready to pay for his wages. At the end of the day, I cannot say that I just wanted to take your work and I was not having any intention to pay for it. It is not valid and it is not acceptable also. Hence, when a person enters into some work, when a person enters into some activity, it implies that he has agreed to complete the activity or to uh, fulfill the obligation. Hence, that contract is called implied contract. Then one more contract is there which is called quasi contract. Quasi contract is sometimes called as constructive contract. It is a contract in which there is no intention on one side or the other side. So there may not be any intention on either side to make a contract, but due to the existence of law, the law imposes a contract on either one party or both parties or all parties. In such a contract, rights and obligations arise not by any agreement between the parties but by the operation of law. For example, a person who found a lost good or who found a purse lost by some other person is bound to find out the owner and hand over the purse to them. Or if I find a watch which is there on the road which is lost by some other person, if I take that watch in my hand, I am bound by law to return that watch to its real owner. Similarly, when a person gets wrong delivery of some parcel, it is a duty of that person to either return the goods or trace the original addressee and forward those goods to the original person to whom the goods were dispatched. Such contracts are called quasi contracts or constructive contracts, which do not carry any intention of entering into the contract, but because of the performance, but because of the activity, but because of the actions of the person, the law itself puts the parties into a contract because of their performance. Or, in other words, because of the operation of law, the persons are put to obligation to fulfill the contract. This is quasi contract. Then one more contract is there. That contract is called e-commerce contract. E-commerce contract are those contracts which are entered by using internet. Nowadays, we do a lot of transactions by purchasing or selling the goods using internet, using the electronic data interchange. So all the persons or the parties who are interacting by using the network or who are at the other ends and who accept to do the business transactions using the electronic mode or electronic data interchange are bound to e-commerce contract. It does not necessarily mean that a contract becomes a valid contract only when it is ink signed or physically signed by a person. Mere acceptance or giving acceptance over the internet or the approval of the contract over the internet itself will make a person bound or liable to complete his responsibility or obligation that has entered into the contract. And these contracts are also known as EDI contracts or sometimes cyber contracts or sometimes mouse click contracts also. When we click accept by using a mouse button, the contract is accepted over the internet instead of signing. Hence, these contracts are called contracts over internet or mouse click contracts. Apart from this, we have different contracts also. Now, let us see the classification of contracts based on performance. When the contract is completed or when the contract is viewed from the angle of its performance, then the contract is classified according to the performance. So contracts classified on the extent of their performance are called contracts classified on the base of its performance, and such contracts may be executed contract or executory contract. Now we have to learn what is executed contract and what are executory contracts. Now let us see what is executed contract. An executed contract is one where both the parties have performed their obligation or carried out the terms of the contracts to complete it. In other words, it is a completed contract. For example, I wanted to buy a pen for rupees 10. I went to a bookstore. I inquired about the pen. He gave me an offer. The book center owner gave me an offer to sell that pen for rupees 10. I handed over 10 rupees to him and he handed over pen to me. Now you see, my job or my obligation of rupees 10 is over and his obligation of handing over the pen is also over. Therefore, the exchange of rupees 10 and pen is complete and hence the contract is complete. In other words, it is a contract which is a executed contract or completed contract. And the contract wherein the contract is to be performed either wholly, partially by one party or both the parties is called executory contract. Let us take an example. Mr. M agrees to make furniture for Mr. S for rupees 5000 and Mr. M has yet to make the furniture and Mr. S has not made the payment. So both M and S are yet to perform their obligations and the contract is called executory contract. And if one of the persons fulfills their obligation, for example, Mr. S pays rupees 5000 for furniture and Mr. M is bound to prepare and hand over the furniture to him, then also it is a executory contract. Then executory contract can be unilateral contract and executory contract can be a bilateral contract. Therefore, executory contract may be unilateral and bilateral. Let us see what is unilateral and what is bilateral. A unilateral contract is one in which a promise on one side is exchanged for an act on the other side. A contract is said to be unilateral when one party has discharged his obligation either before entering into the contract or at the time of entering into a contract. In this example, let us take I give 5000 rupees as advance to the furniture maker and ask him to prepare furniture. Now you see, I gave or I paid rupees 5000 even before the contract between us is signed. The contract between the furniture maker and myself is signed. So this type of contract is called unilateral contract. So the activity or the obligation by one person can be completed before entering into the contract itself or at the time of entering into the contract itself. When it is at the time of entering into a contract, during the signing of contract itself, I may pay 5000 rupees and say, please prepare furniture for me. So this type of contract is called unilateral contract. Now we talk about bilateral contract. Bilateral contracts are contracts where a promise on one side is exchanged for a promise on the part of the other party. So here the promise of one person is exchanged for the promise of the another person to complete the transaction. So according to the performance, the contracts are executed contracts and executory contracts. And executory contracts can be unilateral contract or a bilateral contract which puts obligation on the both parties. But it is important to know how the contract was formed. So on a total basis, what we have understood is classification of contracts is made on three bases. Number one is on the basis of enforceability, second one on the basis of formation, and third one on the basis of performance. Thank you.